I'm like, taking one last look at my friends.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you something.
You texted me from
that trailer. I was I'm fucking devastated. I was like, it looks like they're ripping him apart. Like, why are they doing this? I'm like, why are they making Rey and like Poe like rip him apart? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, yeah.
All right.
Alrighty. So
this is a big one this week.
This is a big one. This is a very important one.
Very important.
Yeah.
At least to us.
Absolutely.
And half of America, I guess.
Yeah, half of America.
Half of America. Hey, at least half of America still loves Star Wars.
Do they? Yes. And for the record, I'm going to say at the beginning, I still love Star Wars.
Me too.
Still love Star Wars.
I will always love Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't think there's anything they could do
Absolutely.
to ruin that. And if there was, they almost came close with this movie.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they did a good job.
And if this movie didn't turn you off Star Wars forever, then you're in it for life.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't disappoint in that regard. They really tried there.
Oh. By the way, we didn't say the title though. We are talking about Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9,
The Rise of Skywalker. Absolutely.
All right, throw it out there. Do it to me, Santana.
Oh no, just real quick. My Star Wars origin story just like started when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I've loved Star Wars since the original trilogy, but like I hold the prequels dear to my heart because they were the first ones I got to see like in the movie theater, like brand new. Like I grew up loving the original trilogy, but they already were out by the time I was born.
And then you passed it on to me in high school.
That's right.
This guy showed me all the Star Wars, and people are like, no way, you had to have seen Star Wars before. I hadn't seen a single frame of Star Wars to that point. Showed it to me on VHS in my basement.
Yes.
We drank some wine and we watched Star Wars.
Vino.
So we drank wine and we watched all the Star Wars. So that's my introduction to Star Wars.
Yeah.
And now we're here together.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Doing episode 9.
The crawl is like very straightforward. Palpatine is back. They let it known immediately. You know, it's pretty much a pretty big curveball. Right. But I fanboyed out immediately when I got to see a Kylo Ren just tearing everyone apart in the opening scene. Yeah. Like just going and just slaughtering everyone.
Mask on, too.
Mask on. Slaughtering everyone he sees. Wait, he had the mask on in the... No, he didn't have it.
No, he puts it on after that.
Yeah, he doesn't have... It's not repaired yet.
That's right.
No, mask off.
Mask off. Sorry.
He's slaughtering everyone. And I thought it was a missed opportunity to keep Captain Phasma around to join that fight. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought that would have been pretty awesome.
Well, it was pretty straightforward from the get that it was JJ was reading all the criticisms. Like, I'm gonna answer everybody and fix everything.
He's like, okay, you've been reading message boards of what nerds like me want to see, and I mean, he nailed it in that regard.
Yeah,
the opening scene.
But the opening scene, I gotta say, yes, yeah. I love. Like, never before had there been such a shocking kind of. It felt like a horror film. In Star Wars.
Yeah,
it was actually kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the cinematography in that scene and the way it was kind of like seizure-inducing, but it was real good.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, as much I know a lot of people complain about being forced, I was okay with the explanation. Killed Snoke, my boy. I created Snoke.
No, I didn't have a problem with that either.
Me neither.
Yeah, no.
He's like, I've been every voice you've heard. It was like, that was kind of fucking crazy. I'm like, yeah, Palpatine is the big baddie. So any ripoff we've seen over the past fucking years has been him. That made a lot of sense. Rian Johnson killed off Snoke in Last Jedi.
Right.
So if JJ's plan was to have Snoke be the guy, like, there was nothing he could do. He died in the last one.
They did, exactly. They did, like, a lot of fan service for the original trilogy in, like, you know, the first 2 of the sequel trilogy. Right. But they didn't, like, do enough heads up to, like, the prequels, too, and, like, the Clone Wars.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that is a huge demographic. Those are the people that turned on them. Well, like, on this. Those are the ones that freaked out. Like,
man. I wanted to see midichlorians become relevant. And I thought by the end of Last Jedi, when you see this little boy running with the broom, and in your head, at that point in the movie, Rey's parents are nobody.
Yes.
The only thing that would have made that make sense at that point would be she had a high level of midichlorians.
Yeah, I guess so.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would have thought.
That's what I would have thought. Like,
that's what it is. That's what Lucas said it was. So, I would have rather that than the retconning
Like,
and I love the hidden map and whatever, like, you know, that you can only read with the Sith language and stuff like that. I thought that's
it's pure
very
genius because it puts them on their journey. They had a mission that made sense.
Yeah.
No, you finally are getting your 3 characters together.
Yes, which is what I've been begging
Which is
for.
what we've been waiting for.
Thank you.
Which is if you're bringing Star Wars back and you want to kind of create some of the magic of Luke, Han, and Leia.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have the 3 of them together. And in the last movie, as much as, you know, I mentioned to you all the time, you guys wouldn't know, but I love Last Jedi. However, I do realize that it is a problem that they separate the characters so much, especially because Finn is on a mission that goes nowhere. In this movie, there's so much more purpose. They need to find that, the Sith GPS, so to speak.
Exactly.
They need to find the Sith GPS.
I love it.
And now they're going to mission 3 of them together. The only thing being a fan of Last Jedi, was kind of like, come on, JJ, writing it off so quickly. Rose Tico stops Finn right before he's about to get on there.
Yeah.
And no, Finn stops her, actually. He's like, yo, Rose, you ready to go?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I gotta stay behind. Like, it's like...
I can't. No one wants to see me.
Basically. No, I can't. Nobody cares about me. The internet has spoken.
Yeah. I thought that was a real missed opportunity to say fuck you to all those people that acted that way towards her, because it wasn't fair.
It wasn't fair at all. Her name is Rose Tico. Kelly Marie Tran is also a great actress. I'm just like, I think it could have been handled a little better. I think she could have had better screen time. And taking one further, I think she should have been on that. On the mission with them. Yeah,
like what the hell was the point of her? I thought it was pretty lame.
I thought it was lame.
Yeah, I thought it was really lame, and
that was my first problem.
Yeah, it's that toxic fandom that goes on out there.
And it just happens too much that studios are letting them bully you into making these decisions. Don't get bullied by the internet.
No, don't get bullied by the internet.
But moving on, we take our original 3 trio and they go on the mission.
And then we also we're eventually going to talk about another new character, Jana, played by Naomi Aki.
Yeah, she was a real cool character. I definitely like the insinuations that she may be Lando's daughter. I thought she was badass.
Yeah. She was pretty awesome. She was like a really strong character. Like, she was reminiscent of Finn because, she quit the First Order.
Yes.
Just like he did.
I thought that was a great reveal.
Yeah.
It's like there's more of you because we're all deserters. They call them.
Yeah. Something I was just thinking about earlier, since Episode 7 came out, it was called The Force Awakens. Right. So when I went into that movie, I was waiting to see The Force Awaken. And, I mean, to me, it did. The first time I saw it was when, like, it awoke in Finn. Like, and in that village in the beginning of the movie where he stopped, and he did not kill the innocent people.
Yeah.
And then he tried to get... After that, something changed in him, and he tried to escape. I feel like, and he fought with a lightsaber in the end of that movie. And
Absolutely.
And he doesn't touch a lightsaber again for the rest of the movies. Him and Rey, I feel like they should have been by the end of the series. They didn't really have much of a relationship. Like, it wasn't defined. Like, they should have been like brother and sister in the Force. They're 2 orphans, just like Luke and Leia were orphaned. Their parents were gone, when they were babies. But they get to grow up together. Not really, they didn't get to grow up together, but they did find each other, and they get to learn the Force together. And grow up in the Force together. Like, I felt like Poe and her might have been like a couple, but I felt like her and Finn were gonna have this connection in the Force.
Yeah,
like
the way Luke and Leia had,
and the way her and Kylo did too. Like, but like a positive way. Like her, and, you know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
Like,
you see them kick ass together.
Exactly.
Using the Force. You had the opportunity. Maybe even more so than you ever saw Luke and Leia do it.
And,
like we could really
because you have both of them learning together.
Right.
Yes.
But when they think they're gonna get killed by him, Poe's like, "What was that secret you went to tell Rey? Really, you're doing this now?" So they brought it up, and they just never answered it. And sometimes it makes sense to have MacGuffins in a film and not answer something like the end of Inception. The Dreidel keeps spinning. That's fine. But for something like this, it just looks like a mistake. It looks like your movie's unfinished. By the end of this movie, you never confirmed, what he was gonna tell her. And there's no reason not to do. There was no reason to keep that out of the movie. He should have definitely spoke about his force sensitivity to Rey, and we should have seen more of it.
Agreed. And you said, I'm gonna have to jump on something you said too right away. You mentioned General Hux, played by Domhnall
Oh my
Gleeson.
God! Yes,
I love him in these movies. It's called A Futile and Stupid Gesture.
Oh, I saw that.
You saw that? Yeah, that's him. Like the main character with the glasses. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
So, the difference between him and Hawk, he does such completely different characters, and that you can't even tell it's him. Like in either one of those movies.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I didn't like him in Last Jedi.
In Last Jedi?
Because it was, to me, I didn't like the way Poe was playing with him.
Oh, in the beginning of it?
The whole beginning line. And he's
right.
You got a call, I got a message for your mother.
Yeah.
He's tooling with you, sir. And I don't know, you enjoyed that? For me, it seemed like...
You can see the smile on my face. I
can
like that
tell
part.
For me, it was like, am I watching an updated Spaceballs right now? Or am I watching a fucking Star Wars movie?
I love that part. That's like one of the parts of The Last Jedi that I fucking love.
It's funny because
the opening of Last Jedi, I love.
You like all this stuff I hate.
I do, and but Last Jedi is like I have a love. My opinion fluctuates. I bet we do a 10-year review of this, and I'm like, Rise of Skywalker is the best one to ever come out. I'm like, I was wrong because I changed my mind. Constantly about how I feel about
we love these movies
the Star
so much.
Wars movies, so constantly. But
But for me, I love too when Poe fucks with people. It wasn't so much him. It was the way General Hux was in that movie. There wasn't a threatening menace to him. And he seemed kind of silly to me. But my point is for bringing him up is that in Rise of Skywalker, he was redeemed. I loved the angle. Because we always talk about what JJ did do right in these 3 new movies is he brought a lot of things to the table that were never even thought about or discussed before in the universe. And the first one of those being Finn, being a stormtrooper turning, like those kind of ideas.
Right.
So good. And he did it again with this one. Never before had there been somebody with the Galactic Empire that went turncoat.
Right.
Never. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. So, I mean, to me, that was just the idea of that. I thought that was really interesting.
Well, the guy in Rogue One, the pilot in Rogue One.
But this is the last thing I was expecting them to be a mole that was actually helping them, and I was like, I thought that was really cool. And I liked how he said, I'm not trying to help you. I just can't see Kylo win. Right. He just had this grudge against Kylo, and that also, played in perfectly with the last film. And I was like, okay, at least that's continuity. We're back on this shit. We're gonna talk about Lando now.
When he did show up, I was surprised because I figured he'd be flying a ship or something when he showed up. So I like that he was on the ground in a transport, hiding or whatever. But hiding like he was in Return of the Jedi also. So yeah. I was like when I saw that, I was like, yeah, there he is. But it was very cool. It was a very cool intro. Great way to bring him back. Especially since you're running out of characters from the original trilogy. It's good to see him in it.
It was so good to see him in it.
Yeah.
And the obvious comparisons to The Last Jedi, not Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi, 3rd movie of the trilogy. Lando comes back. It's just perfect.
It was my favorite cameo of this movie, but but only because he had lines. Because they also brought back someone they're really old school guy, and I have to shout him out. And of course, Wedge, they brought back my homeboy Wedge.
Yeah. I didn't notice it.
Santan loves Wedge.
That moment happened, and you were like, "This is the greatest movie ever!" Yeah. And that moment brought Rise of Skywalker 6 notches up for you.
Wedge is played by Dennis Lawson. Okay, and Wedge is with Luke when Luke blows up the Death Star in the original movie, and he's there, circling around the AT-ATs and Empire Strikes Back.
Something y'all may not know, you may not even know. Wedge is Ewan McGregor's uncle.
He is absolutely. That was going to be my last point. No, that's perfect, shit. Though. Yo, you're the man. That's right. Great minds think alike.
Great minds think alike. Yes. And one step further, his uncle Wedge told him, "Don't do those movies."
That's so. I didn't know that. That's great.
He tried talking him out of doing the prequels, and obviously Ewan McGregor would end up going on to be Obi-Wan.
Oh man, I'm so glad he did.
I think it's the typecasting thing. But Ewan McGregor ain't getting typecasted. Ewan McGregor's a lot better of an actor than his Uncle Wedge.
Absolutely. It's a much bigger part, too.
A much bigger part. Ewan McGregor at that point had already had Trainspotting and Lifeless Ordinary. Like, he had quite a career already.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy he didn't listen to his Uncle Wedge. But that is an awesome tidbit about Wedge. You reminded me of that.
Wedge is the fucking man.
So to see him showing up there with
Wedge, Lando, and Nien Nunb, who fucking died like off screen, like real quick.
Right?
Nien Nunb is riding around and he dies. And he gets killed. He's just like Admiral Akbar gets fucking killed too in Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Like off screen. And then
it's true.
Oh, but off screen deaths, I'm like, come on.
But what's the reasoning for doing that? You think he wanted to keep it within the style?
I don't know.
Because this isn't a short movie, so when things are like off screen or things are cut out, I'm like, why was that? I could think of a million other things you could have done away with to get certain things in.
And someone couldn't have been like, man, no. Maybe not that, but like, come on.
At least show it.
Yeah, like show like Poe just being like, damn it.
Yeah.
Like punching the thing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Or when like Laura Dern kills herself. Admiral Aldo. She'd be like, this one's for Admiral Akbar. Which I love that move. I thought that was a cool move.
That was a cool move.
Yeah.
That was a badass move.
Yeah.
It's funny, man. We ended up talking about The Last Jedi a lot in the Rise of Skywalker.
We did. I have to go back and give credit to The Last Jedi because it's much better. And it's funny. After I saw Rise of Skywalker the first time, I'm like, this is the best of the sequel trilogy. And then I went to see it again, and I was like, this is the worst of the sequel trilogy. Yeah. And I'm not even like, and I'm not trying to shit on it because I did still love it. I really did. I did love it. I thought it was great.
There was a lot to love.
Yeah, there was a lot to love. Yeah, and we're being more critical than anything, but I feel like it's due its criticisms.
Absolutely. We're talking about Lando. Lando leads them to Baba Frick. Yes.
But the data is backed up in the Sith language, which he's
not allowed. He's not permitted.
He's not permitted.
Which doesn't make sense because we know from Phantom Menace that Anakin created him. Why would Anakin do that?
Well, I found that a little more believable. Okay. Than like a lot of people. It's like Anakin did create him, but like they erased his memory, so I assume they could put new like programming into him and change him around. So like
that's a good point.
Yeah, because like I get it though. Unless you're a super fucking nerd like me, I don't know how you would grab
or a super big great justifier.
Exactly.
When you love something so much, you kind of learn to justify things. I do it all the time.
I'm like a Star Wars attorney at law. Like, I'm like, hold on, let me show you my badge.
Let me fix this.
I'm also a cop too with a badge. I'm an attorney with a badge. I'm like, listen, let me show you my stuff. And then
I absolutely love Baba Frick.
I did. I love Baba Frick.
I love the way he laughs when Zori's he's following Zori Poe and says, "You still don't trust me?" Baba Frick is just like,
no, he's hilarious. He's so cute, really cute. And then I didn't even like a job I wouldn't even thought of. You know what I mean? Like someone who could crack open a droid. Like I never even thought that was like a thing.
Exactly. There's another thing that these new movies kind of. Brought just new parts to the universe. Right. That's when these movies have been at their best. When they brought new ideas.
Right.
That once you see them, like, oh, that makes sense. I just never thought of it. I never saw that in the movies. Right. That's when they were at their best.
Yeah, making a living off of scavenging parts from like when the ships crashed on your planet. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like on Jakku, like I never thought of being a slave kid who like tends like giant horses in The Last Jedi, like I thought it, what I'm saying, like those kids that worked at the track. You know what I'm saying? Like I never would have thought about characters like that.
Absolutely.
In the Star Wars universe.
That's when they were at their best.
Like I thought that kind of flavor that he added to the trilogy was really fantastic.
It's just that when you compare Rian Johnson and him, Rian Johnson's film took a lot more chances and took Star Wars into different territories.
It did.
Than JJ. JJ seemed to retread a lot of the same waters, and Rian seemed to be trying to get away from that. And it ended up being like a tug of war between the two, and JJ obviously had the last say because he did the third movie.
Right.
But even and that needed to be said. But
and to go back to the 3PO real quick, R2 gives him back all his memories.
Oh yeah. Well, I was about to get into that. I feel like retconned real quick. But
I feel like it should have been done like maybe in like the last scene of the movie,
right?
Like when they're all celebrating, if
at all.
if it all like real quick, see like R2's like, oh, I've recovered some of your data. Here you go. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So yeah, he would just go, and JJ was way too scared to stick with decisions.
Yeah.
And this was one of them. This one, it didn't bother me as much as we're gonna get into Chewbacca in a second. Right?
And like, you know, to shout out Anthony Daniels, like he just is fantastic, and I couldn't imagine. Absolutely. He even does it like I know you don't watch the Clone Wars. He does. I'm pretty sure he does C-3PO on the Clone Wars too. Wow. And there's some great C-3PO and R2-D2 stuff in that show.
I need to watch that show.
Yeah, that show's fantastic. But anyway, I'm getting off point. But yeah, that was for the movies. Like, that was the best C-3PO.
Agreed. We didn't even talk about that prior to this podcast, but I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, the second, and this is the point at which I started turning on a movie.
Yeah.
This was the WFAN used to do the key span turning point of the game. This is the turning point of the game. This is the point where I think me and Santan, both respectively sitting in our theaters, we both loved the movie to this point. Like, dude, I was so happy with everything they did. And there was a lot of things that the internet had problems with to this point in the movie already. Not us. We were okay. We had managed to justify almost everything.
Yeah,
I really was. Mm-hmm. And then, boom. And then the showdown between Kylo and Rey. There's a force struggle, and it explodes.
Yep.
And you're like, fuck. Chewbacca was on that transport. Any logical person is saying Chewbacca was on the transport.
Yeah, Chewbacca's on the transport.
Chewbacca died.
Blew up. Rey, like, had a hand in killing Chewbacca, essentially. And, you know, and I mean, this is supposed to be the last of the saga. You know, I mean, I was devastated to see him go, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, Chewbacca's gone. And I'm like, this is rough. This is going to be rough. This is going to be rough the rest of the way going.
You know, there's a tears forming. I'm fucking emotionally there, and I'm saying to myself, this sucks, but at the same time, yes, this movie has weight. Like, you know, JJ made a very bold choice, and this movie has even more purpose than just being a money grab for Disney. Like, this is weighty. A major character like Chewbacca just fucking died. Wow. And like you said, Rey did it. And what, you know, if they do more movies with her, or even within this movie, there's so much more character development that can be given into a character like Rey trying to make a choice, and this weighs so heavy on who she is. If she accidentally killed Chewbacca, this can fuck with her character so much. There's so much room for the writers to add another dimension to Rey through this fatal mistake.
Agreed.
And not only is Chewbacca alive, but we find out a mere couple of minutes later. Right. And I always felt like, if you're going to keep Chewbacca alive, save that scene, which is 40 minutes later, and let that be the reveal. But you doing it 2 scenes later, it makes it so pointless.
It's so fresh, too, in your mind that there's not another transport there. So it's like...
So fresh. It's like, I watched it again, I paused it, I looked, I was hoping.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll digitally add one in a few years.
It's so fresh in your mind,
Lucas
you're like...
will call them, George will be like, you want me to do it for you over here?
I can do it. I already did it. I can just send it over right now. I already did it, so you just want it. It's ready to go.
This package
is ready to go. I have it sent. You got it? I just emailed it to you. Yeah. That's on my Dropbox.
Yeah, put it in the fucking next DVD.
Yeah, the next release.
Special edition.
I want director credit. The whole movie. No one's gonna. I was like, so there's no big, like, there's no risk now going on.
My initial viewing, it took me out. I was upset. Yeah.
They go to Endor, you know, with the dagger, and she like holds up I don't really understand. She holds up the dagger to like the piece of the Death Star. I don't know. I feel like she could have like harnessed the dark side to like find it or something. You know, it was still
the original films understood that you needed the balance of both. That you need to use the Force, and I feel like these new ones, maybe in the PC world, they don't want to give that message to the kids or something. I feel like that with these movies.
It's possible,
and I don't like that because life is balance.
It is.
You definitely need to know some of the bad guy tricks to be the awesomest good guy. And so Rey does not use it. Instead, there's this very kind of like quick Star Wars thing. The same way as, you know, Anakin creating 3PO in the first one. Like, there's one of those quick explanations. Like, she just raises this. Oh, this piece fits. Yeah. And we're in.
Boom. Yeah, and then we're in.
But I will say it was cool because it was beautifully shot.
One of the best lightsaber duels ever. We don't have to go too crazy into it.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Something I noticed in watching the battle. The the first half of the battle, JJ decided to not use music. And I feel it's watch it again when you rewatch it. It is totally lacking by not having a score. My favorite battle of all time on Mustafar between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Obviously, there's a lot more leading. There's a lot more history. You can't expect the movie to reach the heights of an Anakin Obi-Wan, something you waited 30, 40 years for. That movie, that epic battle scene had an incredible score. Like a little, maybe like 2 minutes into the scene, the score comes in. But it's just like it's kind of like I would have had the score playing from the beginning, man, because it is very epic, but it's missing a little something, not having the music. And I got why he tried. He was trying to do something different, but look at me. The one time he does something different, I'm like, JJ, why'd you do something different? This whole podcast is about how he didn't have the balls to do anything different. Because Poe obviously just got the news that General Organa, Leia dies.
Right.
And he's going to become the new general. Lando shows up and he lays it down. The reason it's reminiscent of the last scene because the last scene is Han Solo getting Kylo prepared for the next chapter. And then right after that, Mark Hamill shows up.
Yeah.
So I'll say that I was enjoying the first two, but by the time Mark Hamill shows up, because I love Last Jedi so much and they did him so well, it was why I was extra bothered by the scene. I find it very comical. And she's like about to throw the lightsaber, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He sounds like a manager we used to have, Brian Hahn. What are you doing? And the way he's standing, watch it next time. Like, it's comical. It's a little silly. He's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Well, you did this," and he goes, "I was wrong." It's just like, and that's it. And it's like, again, you can feel JJ's pen. Just like, let me just retcon all the mistakes Rian made. Right. Nobody was happy with Last Jedi. Exactly. That's not Luke-like. Guess what? It was Luke at that chapter in his life. I was one of the people that loved it. So loving Last Jedi and loving a broken Luke who redeemed himself at the end, being totally okay with that. Right. For you to bring him back just to retcon some of those decisions. No, three happened in a row. Maybe if those two hadn't happened directly before it, I'd be more excited for this cameo. But at this point, it was starting to feel like fan service overdrive.
He's like,
and it's amazing how actors can be so unaware of their genius, because he wasn't happy about it, but his performance was significantly better.
It didn't even matter.
My favorite Luke performance of any of the movies.
The Last Jedi?
Yeah, right. So when they go and find out that Leia died, they show the reaction of Chewie. That broke my heart. Giving him his moment.
Very brutal scene. Very heartbreaking.
But this is what I paid for.
You know
this is the meat I want.
But shouldn't have been there, because Chewie should have just been dead.
Peter Mayhew, and he was in a memoriam, and they showed Chewbacca, and I turned to Nadia, to my wife, and I go, "See, he did die in the transport." Even she laughed. She doesn't usually laugh at my jokes. That's why I had the confidence to tell this joke on this podcast. She laughed. It was pretty clever. But we should talk about how she died, though. I like her death. What she means is Leia's going to use everything it takes in the Force to contact her son Kylo one last time. And it's going to kill her. That was a great prophecy by Maz. I wish Maz would have said other things, like where the fuck she got the lightsaber from Anakin. You're showing up, Maz. Why don't you fucking tell us something we've been waiting 3 movies to know? You said you were saving it for another day. This is the time.
Unforgivable.
This is Rise of Skywalker. This is the end of the trilogy. There will not be a better day for you to explain where you got that lightsaber from.
And another thing with Maz too, the 2 seconds she's in The Last Jedi looks like way more fun than most of The Last Jedi was. Like the scene where she's like flying around shooting people and shit.
I love that scene.
And I'm like, why can't we fucking be there?
Show me that whole scene.
Why can't the movie be
not
with
for
her?
a fucking iPhone?
Why couldn't they have gone to join her in the fight and then brought her back to crack whatever?
That was
All right, we're not on The Last Jedi.
We're not there yet. But anyway,
we're on Rise of Skywalker.
This is what he is distracted by his mother.
Yeah. And she's and that's why it gives Rey the edge.
The opportunity. He drops the saber. Rey grabs it.
The two of them, you could tell, worked on that lightsaber duel.
Oh, yeah.
Incredibly
Which is so refreshing. And
it was amazing.
Right?
Adam Driver and Ben Solo. When you saw him as Ben Solo, he wasn't Kylo Ren anymore.
Person.
It was like a completely different person. And it was so impactful even for the short time that he was in the film. So it was it was really special to me. It was the character I wanted. It was Han Solo and Leia's son, who was trained by Luke. Like, that's what I've been waiting for.
And it would have justified Han Solo dying, and it would have made everything make sense. It would justify Leia giving up
everything, like
her life to contact him.
And it did, and like, you know, it changed. And but I mean, the performance was out of this world.
Your frustration that
he's not there very long. We
don't get to see Ben Solo.
No, we don't get to see Ben Solo, and that's what I would have liked. You know, in a time when like everybody gets killed and everything, you know, like it would have been nice to keep him around.
When Vader finally turns back to Anakin at the end of Return of Jedi,
right?
You don't have time to see good Anakin again.
Right, he's an old man.
He's an old man.
Yeah.
It's over. Mm-hmm. But you have a young Kylo turned Ben Solo. He has time. He has a whole life to be a good man, and it could be part of his history. Yeah. And another new, cool thing that Star Wars we never saw a protagonist like living on as a great Jedi who was formerly
evil. Yeah.
Rey, after Rey kills him, Rey brings him back to life using the Force.
Yes.
And it doesn't kill her. At the end of the movie,
Kylo saves her.
He comes back when she's fighting Palpatine.
Brings her back to the life.
Brings her back to
life.
But it kills him.
But it kills him.
Could someone make the argument that because he had died once already, he was weaker?
Maybe.
I mean,
maybe they could. I thought it was weak.
As you brought to my attention, they're saying Rey is stronger than him.
Yes. I guess that could be it as well. But he's we needed that one person who was all three of those original characters to live on. You know, that she calls herself Skywalker now. I thought that was cool, I guess. But like, you know, I wanted Kylo Ren to be the rise of Skywalker, the Skywalker that rose. Like, Rey is just...
It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's like, I mean...
I'm like, you're not. You just did a whole movie how you're not.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, like, I mean, I like that Luke and Leia were, like, I guess, like, parents to her or whatever. But they didn't even really have that...
But their real son.
Yeah, but their real... Like, exactly. Like, their real relative, like, would have made more sense.
Or I should say, to see their... adopted daughter and their real son together.
Yeah, exactly. To make more
being awesome is so beautiful.
Right.
It's like Luke and Leia like reincarnated.
Yeah.
Like it's beautiful, and we could have seen that. And not only for this movie, but for future movies. But I would have even just liked to see him throughout the end of the movie being good and getting honored at the end and getting a ribbon along with Chewbacca, which is great that Chewbacca finally got his ribbon.
Yeah.
And it also, it could have led to more interesting dialogue. Like, I would imagine Poe Dameron being very standoffish with him in the beginning. Like, yo, I'm not going to just accept you. Like, you were a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, like, yo, you're good now, but I still remember what you did. Like, that would have been interesting.
It would have been, yeah. It could have been a whole thing.
It could have been. It really could have been.
I was very disappointed in Ben Solo being there and gone so quickly.
Yeah, especially because Adam Driver showed us that he really could carve out a brand new character. Like, you have that kind of skill and technique from your actor.
Yeah.
You should let him show off those chops a little longer.
And I feel like they didn't even necessarily give him, like, a lot to work with, and he just, like, knocked it out of the park.
But, this is something we've been seeing through even the original Star Wars. I think all of the actors have taken the writing and the material and they've elevated it with their performances. Because Han Solo on paper probably wasn't what Harrison Ford did with it.
No.
You know, his steez, you can't do that. And obviously, you know, I Love You, I Know.
I Love You, I Know. It's
improv.
All him. Yeah. That's all Harrison Ford right there.
Yeah. And Irv Kushner probably giving them the carte blanche to improv. I can see Lucas being a dick, even with his bad dialogue. You would stick to my dialogue.
Yeah, that's what happened to poor Hayden Christensen.
Poor Hayden. Oh, Hayden. I was reading something that he's finally been redeemed by the universe, or like they love him now, and I've always loved him.
I mean, yeah, I've never really, I never really had the biggest problem with him.
I'm very happy with him.
Yeah, but like it's so funny though. People like the prequel fandom don't hate him at all. They think he's amazing.
Yes.
So like, you know,
they're right.
There's
they're extremists. I can't really say I'm not on their team. They're kind of
but it's true. But they like worship him though.
Know. As they should, man. I thought Hayden Christensen did a fucking tremendous job.
I thought he was pretty good.
Just
Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi is just just one of my favorites. That's just fantastic.
Exactly, and when you have an actor that's that good, it can transcend an okay movie. And Adam Driver has transcended the entire trilogy.
Absolutely,
and especially in this movie. Yeah. just actions. Right before he slaughters the Knights of Ren, he does this like bow thing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So good.
Just like Han Solo in Return of the Jedi.
Yes,
yeah, so good.
It's
Such
so
good stuff.
fucking good. You were high in this movie, and then you read about what it could have been.
I believe it was Colin Trevorrow was the original writer that they fired, and before they put J.J. Abrams back in charge. Because I didn't read the script. I've only heard a few. I read about it a lot, a few articles on it, but I haven't read the whole script. But essentially, there's no Palpatine in it, and it's a lot to do. Rey is still like, nobody, and like it was something to do with Kylo Ren, like was the one who killed her parents, and like
the point is that there was a lot of things that they did in that script.
Yeah, they completely changed. Like, it was
that would have made for a bolder, weightier movie. But in JJ's defense, the internet is very scary. They're bullies, especially to hone in on the internet, a section of it, the Star Wars universe that has kind of embodied it, and they can be very harsh. I mean, look, they had Rose Tico eliminated from the movie.
Yeah, so, like prequel. I mean, Rose was like a big part of the script.
Of that script, Yeah, and it just seemed. I remember you telling me about it, and what I took from what you told me most was that it seemed to make a lot more sense to the trilogy that they created.
It was like,
it seemed like more of a follow-up to Last Jedi, as opposed to like everything you know from Last Jedi is not true.
Yeah, exactly.
Luke said it all. Like I was wrong. Everything in that movie was wrong. Just listen to this movie.
That's exactly how it happened.
That's exactly how it happened, dude. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm an exaggerator. I'm not exaggerating. That's how it went down. Then Rise of Skywalker is not on either of our highest portions of a Star Wars list. No. Let's get into our list. Yeah. I'll kick it off.
Kick it off, Rizzo. You're going to go back. Are we going to do backwards from 5 down to 1, or start from 1 and go backwards?
Yeah, dude, I'm not a mathematician. I got to go from 1 down.
Start from 1. Let's see your
number one all time, Star Wars. Need I say more? The movie that started it all.
Okay.
The original Star Wars.
Changed it all.
Changed it all. Just like every time that movie's on, like I remember there was a time when I put that lower in my list, and every time it would go on, and I would watch it, I would just start yelling at myself, this is the best one. This is the movie. This is definitely number 1.
Of course. Yeah.
I love seeing Luke as a boy, his Uncle Owen, and it almost feels like an indie movie to me.
It is.
It's like an indie movie.
It is an indie movie.
Yeah, it's a really very well done indie movie.
That's what's so amazing about it is it's like how it was shot is like, and how they pulled all that crap off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is like what makes the movie so outstanding. Okay.
And then number 2, I'm gonna go Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith.
All right.
If we talk about the movie that started it all, that's the movie that ended it all. At least for that trilogy.
Right.
And I fucking loved it. We saw that in theaters.
We did. We went to go see that
Thursday
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, opening night.
Opening night had to be the first time. If it wasn't opening night, it would have been Santana's 4th time.
Right, exactly.
But it was no other way. Unless you did a fucking Fanboys and you broke into the fucking Lucas Studios and saw an early cut.
I broke in, but I didn't get it, though. I didn't get the cut.
So, that's my number 2 for obvious reasons. We just talked about Hayden Christensen. I thought he was amazing. You see the darkness when he slaughters the Jedi children.
Absolutely. But then you have like one of the best villains, like the series, General Grievous showing
General
up.
Grievous, so
Fantastic
good.
Movie. Yes, okay.
I'm going to be coughing like him at the end of the night.
Seriously.
And as I talked about the fight at Mustafar, the epicness, you can't ever compete with that. Number 3 for me is Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. So fun, so awesome.
Jabba.
It gets a bad rep. Everybody puts Empire ahead of it, and I don't judge those people. But for me,
Jabba,
famously said in Clerks, Empire is it's a series of down endings, and that's what life is. And I agree with Dante. I usually do like those kind of movies that are real to life, but it isn't ahead of Return of the Jedi because I'll go with my kid side here. And that movie's Return of the Jedi is so much more fun. It's an adventure. It's a swashbuckling adventure. It was the first time I saw Star Wars outdoors. First time Star Wars took it out of the planets. I mean, out of the space. It was like on the planet. I thought it was really cool seeing them on land.
Yeah.
On a planet. I thought that was really
cool.
Not
in spaceships.
Not in spaceships. It was much more freedom to move, and it just made the journey so much more epic. I love the whole beginning, them going to Jabba. I'm a big Jabba fan.
Jabba.
So, going to Jabba the Hutt's hut. And seeing all that and unfreezing Han. I loved it, breaking away from there. And listen, I'm sorry, I know it's not PC now, but Leia looks so good in that movie.
Oh,
handcuffed to Jabba.
Yeah.
And she was still strong, you know? She was still a big part of, like, breaking herself free.
Absolutely, she killed him.
She fucking killed it. But I do know Carrie Fisher herself, like, has talked bad years later about it.
Yeah.
So I apologize for that. But for all those reasons, Jedi's my number 3. Number 4 is Empire. Obviously epic. Obviously so many reveals in that movie. But at the point that I saw the movie, and at this point in time, they're not reveals anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're just common knowledge.
Right.
People have never seen these movies. My dad doesn't know, and he's like, oh, yeah. Anakin or Darth Vader looks fun.
You saw it in high school for the first time.
I
so
know.
you already,
I saw it in high school.
Everyone knows that, yeah.
So
it was like one of the biggest, most spoiled things in the world by that
Right.
point. By
But,
the 90s, everyone knew Darth Vader.
By no means hated. It's number 4. It's still in my top 5, so it's obviously way up there.
Okay.
I think I'm going with Attack of Clones.
Attack of the Clones. Epic movie. Okay. Yeah, the one where it's really Obi-Wan Kenobi is like a main part of that. Like he's
it's all his story. He goes to
Geonosis,
Geonosis, and then he finds out the Cypher Diaz is the one that ordered the clone army.
Yeah.
And you see Boba Fett.
Boba Fett and Jango Fett.
And I think that's fucking
a great
badass.
fight.
It's a great fight.
And that's like the only time in any of the movies where you see a ton of fucking Jedi all fighting together. Like in that one scene at the end in Geonosis when they all are, all of a sudden there's like 100 Jedi. In the arena.
Yeah, Mace
That
Windu
scene,
shows up.
So epic.
Yoda, it's so epic. And Yoda fights for the first time, dude.
Blew my. I was like screaming in the theater when I saw that.
He's so cool, and it's so cute and cool.
It's a good fight.
You know,
I'm gonna do mine. I'm gonna do mine backwards then.
Okay.
You do yours forward.
Do it.
I'm gonna start from number 5, and number 5 would be Rogue One.
Wow.
Yeah, Rogue One.
My least favorite.
Yeah, your least. Your number 11. My number 5.
11.
It looked and felt to me more like any of the prequels did, or even the Force Awakens. Like it felt like the original movies, like so much, and like such like a companion to the original one, you know, which is so epic as it is. But I really love that it really engaged me into it, and it didn't have to do with lightsabers and Jedi. Really, it had more to do with the rest of the people in the world and what their contributions were, not just the ones who were the Jedi and the Sith. Yeah, I mean, and like all the little Easter egg. Look, he's like, he doesn't like you. I don't like you either. That guy, those two guys, like show up in Rogue One. They bump into Jyn and they like yell at her like for like a second.
I don't remember that.
Like there's all these like little
okay.
There's all these like little tiny things. Like the base and like them going to the base in Yavin, and the best Darth Vader scene in any of the movies is the last scene in Rogue One where the lights all go out and his lightsaber lights up everything and he just slices apart all those rebels. That was so awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're in Scarif at the end of the movie. The battle in Scarif is phenomenal, but like it's to me reminiscent of the Episode 1 battle, where there's like a ground battle and an air battle at the same time, and then there's also like they're sneaking around trying to steal the plants. But anyway, I'm just staying on number 5. I gotta move on.
Love that one.
My number 4 would be.
I thought your number 1.
Well, I laid into it too because we didn't touch on it before.
That's true.
So but my number 4 would be A New Hope. Is my number 4. But it's funny, it's actually not the first one I ever saw. Even though I've been watching them since the 80s or whatever.
I didn't know that.
It was not the first one I saw, and if it was, like, I didn't have it. Like, I had Empire and Jedi. But like I really knew Empire and Jedi really well before I knew A New Hope. It's amazing.
Really you were able to watch Empire and understand the story
pretty
fully.
much, yeah. I just was like blown away by the spaceships and the lightsabers and the lasers and all that shit. I didn't even care about anything that happened. It was just like, oh, this is awesome. But yeah, so A New Hope would be on there just because like it changed film forever. There's like, I don't know what else I could possibly. So I'm gonna move on to my number 3, which is also on your list, which would be Revenge of the Sith.
Absolutely.
Like, just the scope of it is unbelievable. The opening scene is breathtaking. The dogfight going on, the battle droids, and then the breaking into the ship and the crashing on, and that's just like the first 10 minutes of it.
I even like Padme and Anakin's whole thing in there. And
see, I'm not gonna put that on my reasons that I like it. I wasn't crazy about that. I thought it was written really poorly, and I feel like the actors didn't didn't know what to do with what the hell they were supposed to be
I feel like
saying.
it works for Star Wars drama.
I guess so. Yeah, my
what's
number
your
my
number
number
two
two
then?
is Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Return of the Jedi was like my first, was the original one that I
That's
fell
awesome.
in,
That's
that
so
I
high. Yeah.
fell in love with
Three for
Star
me, two
Wars
for you.
because like when I was a little kid, you know, the Ewoks and all the puppets
Yeah.
and Jabba and all that stuff, and like,
And I still don't think it's corny. Like it's
no, it's not.
Fun.
It's really cool. It blows my mind.
My favorite
Yeah.
part about those movies, I did say 3PO is 3PO has his best line in this movie, but the 3PO arc in that movie, how he becomes the god of the Ewoks.
Oh yeah, that's
it's
really
so
good.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's really, really funny.
I love that
And like
because he's always getting shit on. To see him like being praised.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like
And
rare.
I love how angry Han Solo is too.
He's
That,
so
like
mad,
he's
yeah.
so he doesn't even care that he's about to die. He's just pissed off that C-3PO is being worshipped and he's not.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, you know, you really get to know the Emperor, who's like this terrifying looking dude.
Right.
You know, and very mysterious. You know, you find out more about him in the prequels and stuff like that, but you don't, at that point, you still don't know, like, that much about him, what his motivations are and all that stuff. So he's, you know, he's very menacing and, you know, just one of the great, like, you have Darth Vader, who's just this such great evil cinematic character, and then you have the guy who's controlling him after that.
Yeah.
How do you pull that off? And they did, though, you know, and Ian
Yeah.
McDermott knocks it out of the park. That's the best that's my favorite lightsaber battle of, well, no, actually that's not true, but that lightsaber battle's great between the two of them at the end of that movie. And then my number one is Empire Strikes Back, because life is a series of down endings, man. It was like the Hoth scene to me is like still like, every time I watch the Hoth scene, like my eyes are glued to the TV when they're taking down all those AT-ATs and like, you know, and like Luke comes up with the idea and they, you know, they strap the cable around the legs and make it crash. This as a kid just blew my freaking mind. And bringing in Yoda and having that whole aspect of it, like the way it was written, and it you really get into like Luke's character. See like Mark Hamill performing with a puppet and like, you know, and making it believable is like just so like how you could pull that off, how you could sit there for like probably months and talk to a puppet, like, you know,
100%.
and like and make it like believable. It's just like that's movie magic at its best. It's like what, like they
It's
invented
true,
a
man.
genre with the first one, and then they took the storytelling aspect to like a whole nother level.
That is a major plus for Empire, that it was the introduction to Yoda.
Right, yeah. Yoda's such a crucial character.
He really is. And it's that scene, one of my
Yeah.
favorites of all fucking time.
Amazing. And like, you know, the Cloud City and Lando, and it's just like, it's so the stakes were the highest, I feel like, in pretty much in all of the movies. Like, because I feel like even in the prequels, like, you knew the end game, you knew it was gonna happen, you know, like, you knew
really didn't know what this
Anakin was going bad and all this stuff. Like with Empire, like it's just very like, it seems it's really bleak. Like it doesn't seem like it real like it, and that's what makes Jedi so much more triumphant, is how like sad and brutal Empire is.
Yeah.
And you know, it really and it just, to me, it's just my to me it's the most engaging, it's the most heartfelt, it's the most you just feel like everything's could be lost at any second in that movie, even though I've seen it a million times and I know
still
how
get
it's
that
gonna
feeling.
end. I still always get
That's
that
a
feeling
testament
when I
to
watch
it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, being that we did a whole podcast on a movie that retconned a whole other movie, I'm gonna retcon my list real quick.
That's fine.
My number 5, and this is a fuck you to JJ, but at the same time it's also real.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to Attack of the Clones. I gotta move it to 6. Last Jedi is actually my number 5.
Okay.
And it's full circle right here. And this really wasn't just to say fuck you, JJ. But like I do remember that, like, I did like promise and tell myself that last time I saw it. I'm like, I really do love this movie, and I love Clones too, and it's very hard for me. And maybe this will change from a week from now, but for tonight and for now, I actually do like Last Jedi a little better than
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. And that's also a testament to me. I love the old characters, and I love Luke, and here's a movie where you really got to see him 20, 30 years later.
Right.
And I love those kind of movies, and I thought he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
So I'll retcon my number 5. Sorry, Attack. I really love you so much. you're such a close 6.
Oh yeah, and this is I guess I owe an apology to all the ones I left out too. You all mean so much to me.
I know.
At different parts of my life, you're all my babies.
That's how it is when you love something.
Every parent has their favorite.
Right. People don't understand that. Like something could be your number 11. It could be your least favorite, but you can love that number 11 more than like any other fucking movie.
Yeah, of course.
Like
absolutely.
Rogue One is better than fucking Alien. To me. I don't not to start a whole nother thing. But like, what I'm saying? I could put it over. I can like hate it, but I can still put it over like something else that's deemed a classic.
Gotcha.
But that's our podcast, man.
That's our podcast. That's our Star Wars.
And I know there's a million of them out there, but no one else gonna be sit down and Rizzo all kinds of shit. We try to bring our own flavor to it.
It's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, brother.
Chow mein.
Ciao.